Suffolk County, New York police say that a teenager charged in an alleged satanic cult murder was found hanged in his jail cell today.
Richard Kasso and Jimmy Triana were arrested and charged with the murder.
It's a murder that has led to 2 arrests, a suicide, and a civic nightmare.
The group of youngsters came to this wooded area. 17-year-old Gary Lowers was stabbed to death. His eyes were cut out.
He required his victim to say, "I love you, Satan," as he stabbed him to death.
It's pretty harsh how they dealt with it, but it does send a message that, you know, those guys weren't going to be dealing with that.
It is my belief that he was abducted, that they were just waiting for him. They saw my son as their victim that they needed.
The type of household that he grew up in was part of the reason why things got the way they did.
A Long Island, New York couple said today that it was the devil, drugs, and rock and roll that led their son to ritual murder and finally to suicide last week.
I had a big Highway to Hell poster, like black velvet poster in my room. I was like, whoop, time for that to come down.
You know, it like happened at that perfect time in like the Republican 80s, you know, the Reagan era.
These kids are showing up, so it was an easy scapegoat, and suburban kids are always going to be bored and looking for ways to act out.
The original press release was full of errors.
Well, they would build a fire and sit around the fire and take an animal, a dog usually, and torture it to death.
This is like terrible police work. This is terrible journalism.
It became sensationalized. They got a little strange.
You know, they didn't have to embellish on too much because a lot of what they said did happen.
It's kind of like a folklore, like a fucking Babe the Big Blue Ox type of fucking larger-than-life story, you know? It's just kind of Hesher folklore, I guess.
Richard Kasso was awaiting trial on a charge of opening a 19th century grave in April.
A hand and a head was supposed to be in the school locker in Northport High School.
But it's not the whole story, and it's not a town where evil dwells.
He's just an evil kid. Just an evil kid.
Ricky's no different than a lot of us.
I think they fall in the same category as the guys like Manson. They're just crazy people.
Bundy and those guys did a different thing. You know, this has nothing to do with anything like that.
I mean, it's a good story, right? Definitely leads the headlines.
It's got all the elements, you know, Satan, fucking heavy metal, drugs. It's meant to be exploited.
Richard Kasso was a dropout, a drifter, and a drug user and dealer.
Oh my God, there's this guy who lives in people's backyards and smokes crazy drugs that nobody would willingly want to touch.
He had a fascination with the devil. Practically everyone in town knew him.
Parents weren't paying attention, the kids were bored.
The adults raised children who killed each other. It had nothing to do with the devil.
The parents just didn't care about them.
Now, pop culture is saying, if I wear a t-shirt that has the devil and some heavy metal band name, now I'm a devil worshiper.
People were looking in the gazebo and the markings that were made, and the whole, that this could happen in our own backyard was really, really unbelievable to us.
It's really the birth of ritualistic murders.
It was definitely fearful, absolutely. It wasn't, yeah. For me anyway, definitely was frightening to think that that could happen.
It wasn't a cult, there was just a group of kids that came down here that, you know, were basically castaways, and they gave this town a bad name.
I wasn't allowed on Main Street after dark.
You know, these Satanists are going to come out and get you.
I don't believe there was a cult. There was 2 or 3 people who walked around with satanic literature, who said or professed a belief in Satan, who said they practiced satanic worship. It's garbage.